Still on Genesis 31. We're kind of getting to the crux of all this, and as we've kind of, in storytelling, this would be like the main core, like apex, right? It's where this is all going. I don't. Help me out, English teachers. Yeah. But this is where we're continuing to move in the next couple of weeks. We're going to really kind of press into to where this is all heading, and we kind of remember where Jacob's heart was, right? You can be my God if, right? He's got these conditions on God, and and through as he leaves exile, he's not only heading west again. Remember, he's heading up. He's heading back to the mountaintop, and it's in this western upward trajectory that good things start to happen, right? And I thought about that this week. Like, we may not always know where we're going, but I feel like in those past in my life, when I'm heading in the right direction, like I get this feedback of, okay, maybe I don't know where I'm going yet, but I know I'm at least in the vicinity. And God continues to move in different ways, and I can see, okay, all right, God, I'm listening, and I hope that's where Jacob is. And you know, it's never my God for Jacob, remember, and it's always the God of my grandpa or the God of my father, and that continues to be as we get through this. This continues to be a pattern and a theme. And remember 17 from 31, all his children, his wives, his livestock, his goods, uh, everything is his. And so he's got this idea that look what I've done, and he's gonna have to come to some grip with that. So someone read. Let's start with one verse. Someone read Genesis 31:43.
Laban answered Jacob, the women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children you're born?
Okay, what do you notice there?
Mine, mine, mine.
Who's saying it now? Laban. So last week it was Jacob, mine, 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 mine. Now Laban's here, mine, 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 mine. Can they all be theirs? Like there's some conflict here, right? And everyone thinks that all this stuff is there. All right, let's keep going. Someone read. Let's go 44 to 55. Let's do it all.
Come now, let's make a covenant from her, and let it serve as a witness between us. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to Abimelech, gather some stones. So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Hagar Shahadutha, and Jacob called it Gilead. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. That is why it is called Gilead. It is also called Mizpah, because he said, may the Lord keep watch between you and me when you are away from me. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me. Laban also said to Jacob, here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, and I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side and to me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge between us. So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home.
All right. That's what Laban starts. Clearly, you and I are at odds. Yeah, we can't seem to see eye to eye. And what was the proposed solution?
Yep.
So it starts with a covenant, but that is basically the covenant, right? You stay over there, and I'll stay over here. But sometimes that's an effective mediation. Like, hey, maybe the best thing for us is not to be around each other. And hey, is that a better solution than what they've been doing to each other? Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. So, hey, I feel like we're kind of getting somewhere here. So we've seen two different kind of narratives. We've seen this narrative between God and humans, and in these first covenants between God and human, it's God that initiates. And like in the cutting covenant, it was God that took on both sides of the covenant. And then circumcision is when but a covenant between God and humans that where humans were actually invited to participate. And so we see that kind of covenant, but we also see these covenants between human and human. And when we see these between human and human, they tend to be kind of like a ceasefire. We saw this with Abraham and Abimelech, right? It's fighting over wells and this and that, and this is kind of like the white flag of, okay, let's like this, we need to stop and both take a look at what's happening to each and what we're doing to each other, right? And so this becomes pretty common, these covenants between humans and humans. Not to say that it always works out well. There's a story in Joshua that this reminded me of, where as Joshua's moving into the promised land, there's this group of people that are right next to him, and they see what's happening, and so they like put on dirty clothes and pretend like they've rode for miles and miles and miles, and said, "Oh, make a truce, make a covenant with us that you won't harm us, because we live hundreds and hundreds of miles away." And then Joshua finds out they're like the next town over. But Joshua still honored it because he made the covenant. Even though he was tricked into it, he still honored that. So there's like these covenants between human and human, and what we find is that, well, for one, they're generally a fix or the best available option, right? It's not the ideal. The ideal would be, hey, why don't you just treat each other with respect? And right. So that's the ideal, but maybe the ideal is not. It's just not going to happen. I don't know how else to say that. So here's like the next best option. What we see through covenant, and especially when God's involved, is there's always a path forward. Circumcision was a covenant not only of mercy, that you are set apart as my people, it's a covenant of judgment as well. Like, that is not a think about all these grown men having to endure that. There is it's not painless. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There is some sacrifice involved, and we're going to see that continues to be the case. But it also is what set them apart and brought them into covenant. But they wouldn't have needed that. They wouldn't need to be set apart with an outward sign had they been righteous as they were supposed to before that. Like, if their actions set them apart, then you don't need an outward sign. They don't need to wear a cross every day for people to know that I'm a Christian if my life is bearing that witness, right? If I need a Christian t-shirt to signal who I am and what I'm about, and I'm not saying anything about crosses or t-shirts, but when that's the only witness my life bears, there's a disconnect, right? And so we're all trying to get back to this idea, and yeah. And so he says, what are we going to do? We keep deceiving it. Can we keep doing this forever? No, let's make a covenant, and we'll set up these things as a witness. The first is a pillar. and then the second is the heap. These stones piled in a heap, and those things are going to be the witness. And so they took a stone, and so he took a stone and set up a pillar. This is the exact same thing he did. Remember, he had that dream at Bethel when he was coming in out of promise. When he came to the boundary the first time, he had the vision, and he sets up a stone. That's when he was on the stairway to heaven with the angels, up and down. And so now, as he's coming back to the boundary, and I love this about Genesis and all over the Bible. In the story we looked at Joshua last Sunday, coming back across the boundary. Anytime we see these boundary moves coming in and out of the promised land, we usually see some really cool stuff happen. This is when there's this connection in meeting God. And so when he left the boundary, he met God there, and as he comes back into the boundary, he's all set up. He's going to meet God again. This is where the wrestling takes place, is back at the boundary. And it's kind of cool to see as you come into God's presence how he interacts. And he tells everyone to gather stones. So all these these brothers probably wanted to kill him, right? He's taking that in their lives. They're taking stuff. But together in this moment, in this high place at the boundary, they all start gathering stones. And it's all to make peace. So Laban, the Aramean, Laban's an Aramean, and he calls this place, it's the only Aramaic phrase in the whole book of Genesis. This is the only place you'll see Aramaic, and it's kind of cool. Yegar Sahadutha. That's my best guess. I don't know. I don't speak Aramaic. It means pile of witness. Is Laban a Hebrew? He's not. He's not. He's Aramaic.
The word witness mean.
Misno. No, that's watch. I'm sorry. Witness would be the word for angel. Huh? I think. Trying. I know. Witness. Oh, the word is galed. Is galid. Would be witness.
Always just took it as they're putting up markers. You don't go past this if you're going to have to.
So this is going to get into some legal language, actually, to having a witness, and it's so basically what the stones are in that sense is the witness is the mediator. It's interesting that they're using the stone as a mediator, but the stone is bearing witness to both, and it becomes not only the witness but the dividing line. That's what in the Greek, witness is martyr. Martyr.
There was the difference between witness and then that God, Lord, watch.
So yeah, watch is mizpah, and witness is galed. And so it's there are these ideas of, can they be held accountable by themselves? I mean, that's the question that this text is inviting us.
No.
Can they be trusted by themselves? No. Right? Right. They've proven that over and over. So now they need something else to act as a witness. And so they set up this pile and these stones.
If that is, for me, this is just my interpretation of stones. They already don't trust each other. Stones can be moved. So I wouldn't consider it a boundary.
Except that they're involving everybody. Everybody's
Yes.
carrying the stone. All of them are witnessing it. All of them are agreeing to the covenant. They all know it's not just between the two.
So I think that's a significant piece about that it's a lot of stones and everyone's doing it. But you're right. I mean, a covenant's only as good as the people on either side that are willing to keep it, right? They can be moved. What's interesting is here they're not. They don't get moved. They don't get moved in this generation. If you go read in Kings, this is the boundary between the Arameans and the Hebrews. There's going to be a lot of back and forth crossing these boundaries and to harm each other. So, in this sense, this covenant stands, but it doesn't last. And we generally see that with covenants, honestly, when we're involved. Right?
Reminder, later.
Yes.
We go by, that's like us seeing all the tunnels down here, where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Check is where they all are. And I recognize them. And I kind of judge, okay, now I know where I am. But I don't know why they were put there, other than somebody died there.
Yes.
And it's important to somebody.
That's it.
Not to me, but it's important to somebody.
Yeah. So here's a great example right here. Here's a sign of a covenant. Is this the covenant itself?
No.
It's not. Because I'm wearing this, does it mean that I can't go do whatever outside of this covenant? No, but I look at this and it reminds me, hey, I made a commitment. Hey, I said I was going to do this. Hey, this was important to me then. It should be just important to me now. This should affect every time I look at this. And when it's not on, it feels just awful, right? Like, hey, where's my ring? You know? But the ring is not what keeps me. It's a reminder.
It could also be a goal in somebody's life to keep, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it's in front of everybody else.
Yes. It's an outward sign too, you know. And we could get into baptism, we could get into all these other outward signs, but they're never. You can be circumcised and live however you want, even in the Hebrew Jewish community. All this will become, and you know, Ezekiel actually will be the first one to start like, hey, turn our hearts of stone into hearts of flesh, right? We keep trying to do these outward things with lives that doesn't bear fruit. Hey, let's try something different. And then Jesus comes on the scene to really transform that whole thinking. That's it. It becomes a circumcision of the heart. It's not physical anymore. It's spiritual and everything else. It's a heart circumcision. Absolutely. So verse 50. If you mistreat my daughters or take any wives beside my daughters, even though none is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me.
Here God, not his little guys. His God, saying my God will watch your God.
Yeah, your God is watching you. Now he's concerned with Jacob taking multiple wives. That was what made me laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, now you've got a conscience here? You only want him to have one wife? Oh, okay.
And he's like, don't oppress my daughter.
Yes.
Like,
You.
Yes. Exactly. It's so funny. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge between us. In the CSB, I really like this translation. It says, the God of Abraham, the gods of Nahor, and the gods of their father. Those two were plural. They will judge between us, right? So the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohims of Nahor, Nahor is Abraham's brother, and the Elohims of their father, Terah. These are not monotheists. Remember, even Laban, he's got lots of gods. He's got the household gods that do those. So this is another one of those shotgun approaches. Hey, let's bring your God into this. Let's bring Yahweh into this, and then I'll bring my gods into this, and we'll just call on them all and see what happens. That's an interesting approach.
But the gods all against each other.
Yeah,
Don't even fit in his daughter's curse.
Yeah, exactly. So who does Jacob take an oath to?
Fear of his father.
That's a weird term. What do you notice about the word fear there? It's capitalized. That's it. So it's a way of saying the God who Isaac fears. The God who fears? Isaac, his father. Did he say the God I fear? He hasn't learned yet. Yeah, he hasn't learned yet. Still not his God, but he does offer a sacrifice in the high country, and he invites his brother to a meal. And what I love about this, it says they took the oath, they offered a sacrifice there in the mountain country, and he invited his relatives to a meal. After they ate, and they spent the night there. They're all tents, they're all in the same place. And you slept near each other. What is the signal? There is safety there. I am going to put myself in a vulnerable position near you, and you're going to put yourself in a vulnerable position near me, and we're going to trust that nobody gets murdered in their sleep, right? Right, exactly. And so even these two that have been just at each other's throats since we started, in this place, with everyone working together, they're doing it. They're doing it. Not speaking to anyone else but me, like, even if these two can figure it out, like, I don't know, it gives me hope for all sorts of things.
And we do that today with families that are in conflict.
Yes.
They come together for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're okay. And everybody thinks, well, they're okay, and the whole time they like to murder each other.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest with you. We want to murder, we want them gone, we don't want anything to do with them. But we're going to be nice because it looks good for other people.
Yeah. It's true.
And if we have to use that facade to start to
Right.
go along, then we're okay.
And maybe it's just a way to start the conversation. Maybe it's the conversation starter. I see this a lot in funerals. I working with families. And I see this go one of two ways, right? I see this as the opportunity to bring people back together that have been at odds. I also see the dynamics of inheritance and stuff, just like here, be the thing that divides. And it all matters the hearts of the people that are there. And so as bad as they've been to each other, like in this place, They are making an effort to make peace, to bring some kind of resolution forth. And I don't know, that just gave me a lot of hope. Like we see a lot of, from the macro view of everything going on in our world down to our relationships. As bad as it gets, there's always hope that these things can get better.
Just can't forget that it was all because God told him only to don't say anything.
Yep.
We didn't all
Yeah, and it did start with God. And it's in this high place near the boundary, like they're coming back into God's presence. So I think you're right, Kelly, that without this, had this happened back in Haran, it probably doesn't go down like this. But on this neutral ground, on the high place, things are a little different here. And so he kissed his sons, kissed his daughters. And it's the pillar, not only, right, it becomes the sign of the covenant, it is the boundary line. But in the moment, and for a while, there will be peace between these two families. And I think that's significant. Now, it won't last for generations and generations. But it does last for a time. So we got to kind of weigh those two things. God never once breaks his covenant, but people, unfortunately, sooner or later, it happens. And maybe not by me, but maybe by my descendants or seems like an interesting conclusion. You stay over there, we'll stay over here. Like we can't be trusted to be in each other's presence. Like with family like this, who needs enemies, right? This is uncle. This is your father-in-law. This is this is not your like sworn enemy. It's your family.
It's a soap opera.
It is. This is such a soap opera. But even as dysfunctional as they've been in this Eden-like place, there is peace. And then I love this because we see this so many times through this covenant, through this peacemaking. It's followed by a meal. There's some kind of table fellowship going on of, hey, let's share a meal together. What does sharing a meal together do? Fellowship.
Something everyone enjoys.
Something everyone enjoys, right? This is this is like a feast, right? Good. I like it.
A lot of dishes.
Here.
Uh,
And then talk about what shit.
Yeah.
He's definitely saying.
Sitting at a table forces you to do something. What is that?
Look at me.
You have to look at someone's face. It's easy to disagree, and for us, it's easy to disagree on social media. It's easy to, text message, whatever, or do like we do, and let's disagree through the grapevine, right? I'll tell so and so, and then that'll get back to you, and you'll tell so and so, and that gets back to me, right? What happens when we got to look each other in the face, though?
Everybody else to find the teams. Just unless you let the tension go, you just can't.
It's it.
You have to say. I'm not gonna hold on to the anger.
Yes.
But I can't.
Yeah. Table fellowship is so huge, and I mean that's what thinking about in the context of Passover in Jesus's Last Supper, right? Conflict, it's all there. Separation, knowing what they're going to have to, and Jesus spends that moment in table fellowship with them to look them in the eye and to encourage them and to prepare them for what's to come. But it's so significant to the story as we continue to move forward. And I thought the end of 54 was significant too. After they had eaten, they spent the night there, and that's just this: hey, I'm going to be vulnerable to you. The Bible has a lot to say about conflict resolution. Just read it. There's a lot of conflict in there, and a lot of ways to do it. And I think there's a lot of ways to do it that it tells you. And I think it even more so, it tells you all the ways not to do it. For King David, don't sleep with other people's wives. Then don't kill the person that, then don't. So much conflict resolution of what not to do. And I think that's just, Jesus understood the importance of peace, of not just that saying it just so we don't have to deal with it, but in true real peace, he was so invested in it, he was willing to die for it. And I hope that we understand peace in the same way that he did. And because his death and resurrection provides the new covenant, right? A new opportunity for us to be redeemed and restored. A new way of life for people to say, you know what? We need to truly believe in peace, not just the thought of peace or the look of peace, but true peace. And they find peace in the wilderness. In a wake of the just utter chaos that he's been providing, making, creating, and even him of all these deceptions and manipulations several times now, there's some serious harm to do, serious intent to do physical harm to Jacob because of the path of destruction that he's created. And what we're going to see, and we're gonna wrap up here. But all these paths of destruction have to be reconciled. He had the path of destruction with Esau. He has the path of destruction with Laban, and most importantly, all of this is a path of destruction and a barrier between him and God. It's the reason he never says "my God," because there's a barrier. His actions have created this chasm between him and God. And so as he comes back, this was the opportunity. He reconciles with Laban. He's on the path next to reconcile with Esau. We'll talk about that more next week. But ultimately, there will be a point here where he has to come face to face with God. He's going to have to look God in the face. If he thinks any of these other things are hard, but I'm encouraged that there is no conflict that's beyond God's peace. And we probably all have relationships in this room where we might feel like this relationship is broken beyond repair. And Jesus says, I died so that could be reconnected. So let's pray. Lord God, I thank you for our time this morning. I thank you for just a word of encouragement to everyone that finds themselves in conflict or conflict resolution or trying to navigate these waters as your followers, God. And I pray that you would encourage us today as we can see through your word how conflicts can be resolved. And Lord, we know that some of these things didn't happen overnight. Some of these happened over 20 years. Lord, but we know that You are the God of peace. You are the God of restoration. You are the God of redemption, and you are the God of reconciliation. Lord, and we will continue to trust in you with our relationships. We will continue to trust in you and follow your ways to see relationships of all kinds restored. Whether they're our family, whether they're coworkers, whether they're our neighbors or our friends, whether they're people that used to be our friends. Lord, you know the way. You know the path. You know how to bring people back to the table, look at each other in the face. And Lord, I just pray that through your example, that we would follow, and that we would continue to pursue hope. And Lord, just especially in those ways where we've created the chaos, or at least been a part of the chaos. Lord, help us to look to you to make it right. And so I thank you for that. I thank you for our time together here this morning. I pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen. You should help us stack the chairs, and then we're going to push the tables back.